Hey everybody, welcome to Chat and Chill with Providence Hill. My name's Elliott Gravitt. I'm the principal broker here at Providence Hill.
Hey, I'm guys. Good to see you. Dawson Boyer here, one of the owners here at Providence Hill. Excited to hang out with y'all on our first ever podcast.
Absolutely, very excited.
And I'm Caleb Boyer, one of the other owners. Happy to be here today.
Yeah. So just tell you a little bit about our brokerage. Obviously, we are excited to be in this area. We're right here located at the Tucko Shopping Center. We're three owners in one firm, if you will. And we love serving our clients before, during, and after. It's a big deal for us. So we're just tell a little bit about our story, how we got into real estate, and how we formed our brokerage and things like that. So Dawson, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate?
Yeah, so I think my senior year of college at VMI, I was finishing up college and I was interested in real estate. I don't really know why, but just something that seemed fascinating to me. But it was 2008 and the bubble had just burst and the housing economy was in a free fall.
I thought a great time to get into real estate.
Just thought I'd hop in and catch the ride down. But I actually ended up going and working for New Market Corporation, downtown Richmond, great company, got a great job working in human resources over there. Got to learn about business and negotiations, hiring people, vetting people. So it was a really great job for me, laid a really strong foundation. But about a year and a half in, kind of still was having that desire to look further into real estate. And so I started pursuing that in March of 2010 and got in fully in August of 2010. And the rest is kind of history. Jumped in. The market was still pretty depressed, but fortunately it had bottomed out and was kind of able to build my business from there.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing your story. Hey, Caleb, tell us a little bit about how you got in the business as well.
Yeah, I graduated from VMI in 2011. Studied international studies and political science. Great liberal arts degree. Was thinking about the military, doing something in the sector of politics, state government, but ultimately ended up in the construction industry. I'd had kind of a lifelong interest there, just working with contractors, being home on summers from school and even in high school. So was in that industry for about 5 years out of college. Worked for commercial companies, residential companies, eventually got my Class A contractor's license, started my own company, and was doing that for a while, doing additions and renovations on homes, and did a lot of projects on my own, worked for a couple of builders. Got a lot of great experience there and really loved that. Was trying to grow a business organically, and due to some back injuries, just couldn't really take that down the specific path that I was looking at. And so after some time, I thought about maybe looking at different careers. And around that time, Dawson's business was starting to grow. And he was looking to expand. And so he brought me on. We started the Boyer Group. I really took that to the next level.
Absolutely.
Really springboarded this whole thing from that point in time.
No doubt.
And yeah, I've been doing it 5 years ever since and still hold my contractor's license. But fortunately, we've been blessed to where this thing's taken up every minute that I have for a career. So I'm grateful for that and grateful for the knowledge from that to offer to clients and even other agents within the firm. And you guys just having that background and that knowledge, I think, has been useful, especially when initially getting started out. But
I bet you it's fun hearing about the things that you guys did before you got into real estate. They both have served you guys well, negotiating contracts, things like that, but also your side on the construction. I mean, I know we've come to you with inspection item, things like that, and you've been able to give a lot of great guidance on that stuff. So it's funny that both of your careers had nothing to do with real estate. Well, you obviously had construction, but nothing to do with buying and selling homes, but they both were very valuable to what we're doing today. So that's awesome. Right. Yeah. And tell you a little bit about me.
What about you, man?
Yeah. What did you get here? Wing and a prayer. No, I got here. I was coaching college basketball for a while, and then Emily and I, my wife, wanted to start a family, so we decided to slow down and come back to Richmond, Virginia, where I'm from originally. And she had gone to pharmacy school here at MCV, and that's when we met. And at that point, I got a job at St. Chris, and I was teaching and coaching there. And then I got the head basketball job at the Stewart School. and taught PE and coached there. And then after a while, frankly, I really loved coaching, and I had a passion for that, and I had a passion for coaching and helping people, do things that they thought they never could do, if you will. And with that being said, but I didn't love teaching. It wasn't as enjoyable to me. Not that I did a bad job with it, but just wasn't as enjoyable. So one of my mentors, and actually a guy who works in our firm, John McGurn, kind of took me under his wing and said, hey, I'd really love for you to come partner with me in some things, and I'll teach you the business. And I was so blessed and fortunate to have John be my original realtor when I first got my first home with Emily. And also he mentored me, and we shared an office together for a bunch of years at RE/MAX Commonwealth. And I learned a ton from John. So I was really appreciative of that. So that's kind of how I got in.
And this isn't your first podcast, is it, Elliott?
It is not my first podcast. I've done this a few times. So, well, tell me a little bit about Dawson. So Caleb already kind of alluded to this, but that you kind of started growing your business, right, and you added Caleb to your team, and you all became the Boyer Group. And tell me a little bit about that and kind of your experience at Long & Foster.
Yeah, so as my business started to grow, first off, I was probably 3 years in, and I hired a part-time assistant. Mm-hmm. And then after about a year and a half, he found full-time employment and moved on. Mm-hmm. And so the business had continued to grow. So brought on a full-time assistant. And, as we continued to grow the business, then realized we needed additional help on the agent side. In the meantime, we'd also hired another part-time assistant. So it was me, a full-time assistant, and a part-time assistant. But then, there weren't enough hours in the day. So fortunately, Caleb was looking to switch careers, and so I kind of floated it out there to him, and he spent some time thinking about that and whatnot. And then fortunately, he ended up coming on. So, it was me, Caleb as the agents, and then full-time assistant and part-time assistant. Mm-hmm. And, our business just continued to grow. I think from my first year, I did 11 deals to probably 4 or 5 years later when Caleb had joined. I think that last year we were close to 85, 90 deals.
Wow, that's a lot of deals.
Yeah, and so we were cranking. And then in the meantime, you and I have known each other forever, and mm-hmm. We had chatted on and off for years about potentially linking up. And so, eventually in 2017, that's kind of where my growth with my team and kind of where your growth kind of found a way to merge.
I know it was kind of funny. We were single off agents at the time, and we'd get together and have lunch and talk all about, like, wouldn't it be fun if we kind of partnered this thing together? And I kind of served from like the near West End all the way out to Short Pump, and you kind of did near West End all the way to kind of Church Hill area, and Hanover and Chesterfield. We did all that stuff as well. And I know we kept getting together and talking about it, and kept getting together and talking about it. Every 6 months we'd have lunch. And my wife finally said to me one time, like, all right, you two need to stop talking about this, or you need to do it. Like, I'm sick of you talking about, like, partnering with Dawson. Like, either do it or stop talking about it. I think at that point I was like, all right, well, there must be something to this, because we keep coming back to it. We keep coming back to the opportunity, the idea that we possibly could partner together. So, so tell you a little bit about my background and then how we kind of got together. I was at RE/MAX Commonwealth and was able to start a team there, and had a couple full-time agents. My wife was part-time as an admin for us. John McGurn was also in the office with us and doing things with us as well. And I think at that point, we just kind of started to think, what if we had a team that wasn't the Elliott Gravitt team, but it was a team that had kind of a ambiguous name, if you will. And I don't mean that, but like a name that wasn't solely about one person. And then at that point, Dawson and I were starting to have this conversation about, like, I think it's now time for us to partner up and bring our two teams together. And so it felt like the right time, and everybody was kind of on board, everybody was on board with that opportunity and that idea. And so back in March of 2017, I believe, we started putting the pieces together to pull our two teams together and started going through a branding process and a naming process and things like that. And that's how we came up. That's how we came up with the name Providence Hill. So Dawson, I'll let you kind of talk about that name and how that process came about.
Yeah, and I think you said it too. Back when we were taking our two teams and merging into one, it really was about creating a brand that everyone who was part of that could be excited about, and felt like they were promoting this brand that they had ownership of versus kind of trying to promote our names.
Right.
So we started this process with a company that was located in Scott's Addition at the time, a marketing and branding company. And, it was a really fun process of sitting down and just looking at pictures and colors, and
sometimes not so fun.
Well, yeah. and having to like try to pull this thing together.
Yeah.
And we spent quite a few months doing it, and then coming up with the name was funny because you talk about it. I might have come up with a genius idea that you didn't like, and then you had a genius idea I didn't like, or a name was thrown out as a joke, but then someone liked it, or a name was thrown out seriously, but you thought it was a joke, and then that was awkward.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun banter, but really the spirit behind it was trying to figure out something that was this brand that indicated and spoke this message to the general public that we wanted to be your guide, the person taking care of you, and have a perspective or be able to give you a perspective that gave you confidence and comfortability in the process of buying or selling a home. So as we were working through this for months, we finally had been through, probably 100 different names and variations of names.
Right.
And I was driving back from the river, and I passed this road, and it just caught my eye because it's just a little small road, and I saw the street sign, and it was called Providence Road. And
I remember you sending us the picture, literally sending us the picture in the text, showing us what it looked like.
I literally turned the car around with our 2 young kids in there. My wife's like, "What? We're leaving. Why are we? Did you forget something? What are we doing here?"
No, I found the name.
Right. I found it. Yeah. It found me.
Yeah.
And so we loved the word Providence because it was like divine providence, a plan, something bigger than ourselves. Yeah. And then Hill had always been in it because we were like, you have a vantage point from a hill. Stronghold. And then the 7 hills of Richmond. And we went with Providence Hill because Providence Hills felt a little too essy at the end,
That's right.
So it was and it was one of those things too. It just felt right. Like, a lot of times people are like, when will I know which house I'm going to buy?
Right.
And it's like, people so often they walk into a house and they just have this feeling. They're like, this is where I want to live. Mm-hmm. It was one of those things we'd kicked around so many names and something just wouldn't sit right. Mm-hmm. But when we finally kicked that name around, it was like, it sat right and it felt like
home.
Absolutely. So from then, from there we just took the name and we had the colors and the brand and started building the brand, and it's been a great name and a great brand since 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. So back, because we're coming up right here on a year. This is our first anniversary
of the firm.
Firm. So how cool is that? We had the brand and we're a large team, and then we decided to break off and start our own firm. And so we're right here at 1 year anniversary, which is so exciting. We're really pumped, and we've got 20 agents now, and so we love the people who work at our firm. We've got great admin, take great care of us and things like that. So it's really been a great experience. But I want Caleb, maybe you to talk a little bit, because you kind of piloted this part of it. Talk a little bit about the construction part of this office where we're currently at, 419 North Ridge Road.
Yeah. So let's see. All goes back a little over 12 months ago. Yeah. I think it was April 21st. Around that time, where
this place was a gem. You just had to polish it a little bit, right? Is that what it was? Just a little shoe shine.
There's some paint, there's some LVT flooring. The regular stops. No, it was a disaster, as y'all know. It's a great space and a great location. It's perfect for.
And what was here before? Just to remind the viewers and listeners.
Yeah, it was
an Impulse.
Impulse, yeah, consignment.
Consignment furniture store.
Yeah. So yeah, furniture store for 25 years, I guess, and they had our space and the space next door, which was connected at the time and probably had not been touched in those years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And after some demo and a little discovery and investigating, we found that it was probably a gym of some sort prior to that.
And how did you know that?
Well, there's showers everywhere.
That's right. There was like
Behind
7 showers.
Every wall you would tear down. There's another shower.
That's right.
Which actually brought us a lot of extra square footage we didn't know we'd have, but that was good. But no, I think, we wanted to create a design that obviously the two of you helped it with a lot and had input, but come up with something that has that open concept feel, but also to build good culture, connectivity within the office, synergy,
right,
if you will. But we also know, when we're on the phone and stuff, and sometimes in certain transactions, you just need some privacy. So one, that open concept feel, but also some compartmentalization so people could feel like they can do their business. They can kind of get away if they need, but also be connected. And honestly, I feel like that, and then coming across the glass wall systems that we put in, we built the space around this glass wall concept so that people could have their own designated space, but also feel connected, feel together, and feel like they can collaborate, because obviously that's a huge piece of what we value. And so it's really that. So somewhere that's comfortable to bring our clients in, but then somewhere where agents can learn and grow and collaborate, spread out, but also, hunker down if they need. So the planning process, going through permitting can always be challenging, but once we got a plan together, got our permits, amazingly, we knocked out the project in 10 weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which, especially given just the environment right now with construction materials and tradespeople, was just nothing short of a miracle, in my opinion. But we really did a few of the trades we used were people I had known and had relationships with for years prior, but a couple of people that really spearheaded it, pushed it along, were folks that I just gotten connected with through either tradespeople I'd used in the past that couldn't do it,
right, or
other contractor friends that just said, "Hey, try this guy," and you kind of just went down this rabbit trail until you found somebody. But they were incredible, and a lot of the credit is due to them. So yeah, we broke ground, if you will. I guess that was like the first week of September, and then we were moving in
right before Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, Thanksgiving, last week in November. So the process went great. I think it's served our needs, and we're still putting some finishing touches on it just to make it feel more like home.
Yeah.
But no, it was quite the undertaking. But especially with, at that point, having taken over the former team and still selling in this crazy market. So we were just really fortunate, put our head down.
We did a great job.
Everybody pitched in from demoing some stuff to installing ceiling tiles. So I think that probably...
Uninstalling ceiling tiles.
Yeah, put them back.
So, yeah, it was fun.
Well, you did a great job. It looks great. So, and I've, as people have walked through, and we had a big open house right when we opened up, our clients were really blown away by the pride. And anybody who's walked in have said, man, this is a really sharp looking office. So you did a great job with that. Hey, Dee, I want to switch over to you for a second. Talk a little bit about culture here. Just talk about what do we stand for? What is Providence Hill about?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time, coming up with our mission and values. Mm-hmm. And, I think for us with our values, we chose 5 words basically, and we put them in an order such that the first letter of each word going down spells raise.
Okay.
And for us, it was, our industry is so vast. Mm-hmm. The barriers of entry are very low to get in, but it's a really hard industry to stay in. I think the attrition rate's about 85% at the end of the first year. And so for us, it was, we wanted to create a firm and a culture where people came in and our efforts were geared towards raising the bar of the industry. Okay. As we work with people, helping them more than likely selling their most valuable asset, we wanted them to know if they saw the Providence Hill Real Estate brand come across, whether in advertisement or they were driving down the road and saw a sign, they were going to know that that was a firm that stood for integrity, excellence, and was going to get the job done in a way that really maximized the benefits of our clients and help them achieve their goals. And so that's kind of to the consumer, if you will. But then within these 4 walls, just creating a place both for our admin and employees that was safe, fun, fulfilling to come to work, because they come every day and they have to hang out with us. So,
that's right. That's a full-time job in itself.
It is. And then for the agents, just a place where, again, going back to Caleb's work and the design here, people felt proud to bring their clients into the office space. Mm-hmm. They took a lot of pride in the brand, the space, creating camaraderie amongst the agents, because we always joke, we're like, this job, it'll cut you and watch you bleed, right. And that, even going back to when I formed a team, part of it was out of business growth, but a big part of it was just, you'd have a big win or a big, loss, and, go home and share it with Corey, and she'd like feel for me or be excited for me, but she couldn't really relate. And it's so often such a lone wolf job.
It is, for sure.
And then therefore a lot of times it just feels like you're a lone survivor, know? And so, so again, I think just even the design of the space and in different events and trainings and fun stuff and community outreach things we do, creating opportunities and experience for the agents to come together, get to know each other, and build friendships and relationships that go beyond, the transactions. But, if someone has something pop up in their personal life, they feel like they can call another agent in the office who they're not partnered with officially, but says like, hey, this thing happened. Can you help me out this weekend? Or
it does feel like there's a lot of great synergy right now in the firm that everyone's willing to kind of pitch in and help each other out. So I totally appreciate that.
Yeah, that's definitely been unique, which, you always hope that people will collaborate kind of to that end. But, because at the end of the day, a lot of people that work in here could be competitors.
Sure.
But they're still pulling together and pulling resources. And in some cases, some folks have partnered together, which is exciting to see them, build and stretch themselves in those ways.
And even to partner together just on a one-off or a couple projects and then gone back to kind of their thing and leveraged each other's expertise. So that's been super cool. It's definitely not like a siloed place.
Sure, absolutely. All right, well, I want to switch topics for a second because obviously we love talking about ourselves and we love to tell you about how we built this thing and it's in good shape, and obviously we want to continue to grow it and make it even better as we get older. But I want to hear a little bit about what the people actually want to know about. They actually want to know about what's going on in the marketplace. So Caleb, tell us a little bit about what's going on currently in the marketplace. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, over the last, really since the pandemic, that has really shaken things up. And, I remember back in March just thinking, is this whole thing going to fall apart?
I think we all were a little
I think people were wondering if the world's going to fall apart. So, it's unknown and in a 100% commission job, which obviously a lot of people's jobs were at risk at that point, but you do just wonder what's going to happen. So, and as we know now, I mean, if you've read a news article, you've seen that the real estate market's been on a burner for the last, 24 months.
Right.
So steady market through 2020. Where we kind of had that delayed spring market, which is usually when we see the most inventory coming on in our area, when we see most buyers out. So a lot more inventory, a lot more competition. But again, as many people know, inventory has been super scarce. And so, we're still feeling the effects of that. We're feeling the effects of 2008 when, new construction stopped. And so I think we're 8 years behind on new construction. And
they're building like there's no tomorrow, but they just can't keep up.
Yeah. And I mean, I was reading an article recently. I think basically we need to be doing 1.5 times more than what we're building now to catch up in the next 5 years. So it's a supply and demand issue, but from that we've seen incredible growth, which has been forced through these competitive market situations. So you're seeing multiple offers on just about every single house that goes on the market. I mean, we joke sometimes, and you've probably seen some of the like GIFs and stuff that it's a doll playhouse and it's on the market for $300,000. But I think the joke also is if it has 3 walls and a roof, it's going to go to multiple offers, and to a certain extent that it's a joke, but kind of tongue in cheek.
Don't even need that for that.
No, you just need a shelter. You need a roof over your head. So. Yeah, I mean, it's been insane, and people have had to do pretty crazy things to compete, waiving inspections, waiving the appraisal, going, a lot of times I'd say in the beginning of the spring this year, which was really like January, February, it was, hey, you need to go 15, 20% over, waive the inspection, waive the appraisal to be competitive. And that was true. And I mean, people throw in other crazy things like, if they're a chef, we're going to throw in a meal once a month for you if you get us the house. And doctors offering services for free for, a segmented period of time. So seeing stuff like that, it's kind of like, this is almost a joke. This is crazy. But it does feel like with, interest rates have gone up about 2 points since December, which has been an extremely from roughly, or actually 3, so from roughly 3% to 6%. And now we're starting to see trends occurring from that, inflation. And I think we see this at this point in time every year, but buyer fatigue. People are starting to see that the weather is warmer. They've been hunting for houses for the last several months, and they're just tired of spending their time doing that. So I do think
they're ready to go sit on the beach with a Corona, man.
That's right. Yeah, I don't need a house if I got a beach.
That's right.
And sleep out there. But yeah, it seems like a lot of variables are now kind of compounding to where we may see things shifting a little bit, which I think is really positive. Yeah. I think we could see, us moving toward a healthier market. Now, supply isn't getting fixed anytime soon. We know that.
That's right.
But unfortunately, just with the run that home prices have been on, affordability being impacted through the interest rate, the reality is it's just going to knock some people out of the marketplace. So you'll have a little bit less demand. And so I think hopefully we'll see, this rapid and exponential growth kind of taper off a little bit, balance out. But I think supply is still an issue, so it's going to stay strong. It's a great time to be selling, still a seller's market, and I don't know when the end will be in sight for that.
You mean you don't have a crystal ball and you can't see it?
Well, no, I don't have it to share with you.
Okay, fair enough.
Good answer.
Classic. I thought we were partners in this. Dawson, what are you seeing out there in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's obvious through COVID and people being able to work remotely that Richmond kind of in a way finally got discovered by people from larger cities. And, you come to Richmond and the real estate taxes are less, cost of private school is less, but there's also phenomenal public school options.
Sure.
And, the affordability for people coming from outside was huge.
Right.
They essentially, we would talk to clients, homes in the best areas in Richmond might have been pushing $280 to $300 a square foot. But if you're coming from parts of Nova and New England and Maryland or Atlanta, I mean, you're talking $800 to $1,500 a square foot.
Right.
So they come down here, and even if they push the prices up 30%, it's still 50% off for them.
Yeah, feels like a discount.
Right. And so, and that also with that brought a ton of cash.
Right.
And so, so for me, I think, people are like, well, it's been this crazy run. When's the bubble going to burst? And, I think in talking with other very real estate developers, commercial people, larger business owners, again, it's that Richmond kind of got discovered, and the ability to buy at lower prices in Richmond, it finally rose because Richmond was kind of this hidden gem for so long. And so I think what we have seen was Richmond catching up.
Right.
And now, like Caleb was saying, between inflation, interest rates, I think we might start to see some of this competitive nature level off. But, you try to tell people, people hear, oh, it's changing. They think crash. It's not a crash. It's going from volume 10 to volume 8. It's still loud.
Right.
It just is in volume 10.
Right.
So, yeah, I think this summer will be interesting because like Caleb said, I mean, some of these buyers out here have been losing for 2 years. Yeah. And they come out heavy and strong for 3 to 6 months, and then they just get burnt out. And usually the summer is when they take off to try to lick their wounds. And
sure.
But for others, it's a great time to get in because there might be a little less competition. So... But yeah, so I mean, I would say the Richmond market is strong. The fundamentals are strong, and I think for those who own in Richmond, they're going to enjoy, appreciation. Maybe obviously not at the same rate we've seen over the last 2 years, but very blue chip in the Richmond market.
Great. Hey, well, once again, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to our podcast. This is episode number 1. We hope to have lots more. Hope to have lots more episodes, and we want to keep bringing you value, right? So we plan on having other agents in our firm come down, sit down, and talk with us a little bit about their business and how they help their clients. Also, we'll probably get experts throughout the real estate field to come in and sit down with us and talk through what they do and how they're a part of that process. So feel free to keep tuning in to Chat and Chill with Providence Hill, and we're so thankful that you did, and we hope to see you next time. Hey, we're going to touch on tons of different topics, obviously, and if there's anything that you want to talk about or have any questions you want to ask us and bring up some topics to us, we're glad to explore those. And please find us if you have any questions for us or you just want to see what we're doing out there. Find us on Providence Hill RVA on Instagram and Facebook, and then as well as our website's phrehomes.com. So we hope you check us out. Come find us on those spots, like us, share us. Can't wait to see you next month.